fantastic energy as last year. Thank you very much. Would you like to ignite a little Euromagic? Yes or yes? Yes! Stand up and have your hands free, please. Stand up. Okay. We're going to high-five our neighbor, and we're going to high-five our other neighbor, and we're going to high-five ourselves. High-five ourselves. Woo! Well done, well done. You can sit down. Okay, the whole room is going to touch each other. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Eura members, distinguished guests, welcome to Ignite 2025. My name is Michelle Bramstoft, and who are you again?
Jérémy Berthoud.
Jérémy Berthoud. And we're going to be your hosts for the next hour. And Jeremy graced this stage in 2019. Jeremy, what is Ignite for those of you who are unfamiliar?
Well, first of all, it's the most nerve-wracking experience you can have. Sorry, guys. But simply put, it's a 5-minute presentation, and the slideshow is automatic. So that's the real deal.
That's the real deal.
Today's session is inspired by, actually, a previous Ignite session by our lovely Ben Jones. Where are you, Ben?
Are you here?
There he is. Actually, the whole conference theme this year is drawn from Ben's Ignite presentation last year. So perhaps this session holds the secret of next year's theme, next year's conference in...
You have the postcard, so you can give to our charity by putting your guess on the postcard. Are you ready? Yes. Yes. Our Igniters, our Intrepid Igniters ready?
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's get started. Do you have coping devices that work? Is that how you manage your stress? Our first Intrepid Ignite speaker has 3 that she uses to keep her mind clear. The managing director of Anywhere in the Netherlands is here to present the value of a clear mind. Please give a warm Euro welcome to Irena Bunt.
Imagine a 17th century farmhouse near Haarlem where I live. Here I work at the farm, drive the tractor and ride my horse. It is here that I clear my mind. There's a value in having a clear mind. Do you want to know how I achieve it? I've got 3 strategies. The first is to prioritize and have a good planning. Secondly, take regular breaks. And the third one, most important, to recharge. Before I knew the value of a clear mind, I felt exhausted. Work, 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 then kids demanding my time. Have you tried that? My kids make me realize that I need a clear mind. Yeah. Work asking your time, then kids waking you up at night. Have you tried that feeling of inadequacy? Here are my kids again, now on a recent picture. I love them deeply, still they can make me feel somewhat anxious sometimes. Here you see my oldest daughter, angry due to her teenage hormones. What was the cause of my unclear mind? The simple answer is stress, the feeling of falling short, both at home and at work. The feeling that wasn't enough. And the result of an unclear mind is even more stress. Work piling up. You have to take decisions, but you don't know how. Where is the company heading to? Why are my goals stuck in quicksand? Do you know the ultimate consequence of an unclear mind? Burnout. A 2022 McKinsey report states that 43% of female and 31% of male leaders experience burnout at some point in their careers. You want to avoid burnout, don't you? Yes. So that's why it's very important to keep your mind clear. I'll share my 3 favorite strategies with you now. A good example of the first strategy is the making of the yearly budget in November. I put time slots in my agenda in September and October to prepare, discuss, and make the budget. But even with good plans and good priority setting, you always have unexpected challenges. I put them in a virtual cardboard box, a lot of time to think of it, and may only think of it then. That brings me to my second strategy. Where do you get your best ideas? When you're at work or when you are doing other things? Right. Taking breaks make that you feel more focused on the things that you have to think about. So walk away from your computer regularly. Leave your phone behind. Grab a cup of coffee. Talk to your colleagues. Hug the office dog. Whatever. Back to the COVID years for a second. Just for a second. Don't be afraid. First, no work at all. Then way too much work. Was I out of my mind with stress? I was lucky. I knew the value of a clear mind by then. And that brings me to my third strategy, recharge and recharge consciously. This is Abby, my horse, and me. When we work together, we are fully focused on each other, and the happy hormones are also at work. Do we all have to start horse riding? Maybe. But how you do it, it's important that you find a way to recharge consciously. So you can make music, read a good book, go outside to have some exercise, cook and meet with friends, whatever you do, as long as your focus is off your work, off your home situation. Do you want to feel like this cuddly kitten? You know that you can sleep anywhere, always? That is what can happen to you when your mind is clear. In this presentation, I've shared my 3 favorite strategies with you. The first is to prioritize and have a good planning. Secondly, to take regular breaks. And the third one is to recharge consciously. Those strategies are simple, yet powerful. They almost always work for me. Are you already using them? Good job, keep it up. Are you new to them? Then I challenge you to use at least one of them today. Your future self will thank you.
Thank you, Irina. Our next speaker is here to break barriers, speaking about a topic that is left unheard too much. Please welcome the Vice President for Sales and Marketing at CWS Corporate Housing, Beth Hotze.
What's your most embarrassing moment? I had my first hot flash during a top client's annual business review. A few slides in, I was overcome with a hot and prickly heat rising up through my body like some kind of internal inferno. I was drenched with sweat. I stood there after bewildered, looking at a room of horrified faces. I was the only woman. I didn't know what to do, so I literally wiped the sweat from my brow and I finished the slides, because I'm a pro. After the meeting, one of the gentlemen came up to me and he said, "You know, my wife had a really hard time with menopause too." Menopause is widely considered to be one of the most underfunded, underdiagnosed, and undertreated medical conditions today. Many of us go into this and we don't know what to expect. It's long been considered taboo. My mom never talked to me about it. Her mom never felt comfortable having those conversations with her either. In 2025, 1.1 billion, with a B, women will be in menopause worldwide. Is that you? Is that your mom? Is that your coworker? A lot of us are going to try to navigate this phase of life without support. It can be lonely, and it's time to change that and start talking openly. When I first had that hot flash, of course, I had heard of menopause. I thought it was for old people. At the time, I wasn't even 40. Menopause has 3 phases: perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. Menopause itself is only 24 hours. It's the day when you go from a reproductive state to a non-reproductive state, post-menopause. Perimenopause is where the magic happens. Hormones decline, they wreak havoc. It can start in your 30s, and it lasts sometimes for over a decade. Symptoms are more than hot flashes. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of the midsection menopause middle that comes out of nowhere. But did you know about the mood swings, the brain fog, the insulin resistance? Did you know about frozen shoulder, heart palpitations, anxiety, insomnia, dry eye, dry everything? How would you know? How would we know? A 2022 Mayo Clinic study found that doctors get an hour of education on the subject. My primary care physician said to me, and I quote, "I can't help you with this." So women are being referred to multiple providers, multiple doctors, because our symptoms are being treated as standalone or not getting comprehensive medical care. It's time to talk openly so that we can advocate for better education for ourselves and for our doctors. Orcas are also one of the species that experience menopause. So maybe these orcas are just expressing some menopausal rage. Scientists believe that older women are critical to complex societies. We pass on knowledge. It's a key evolutionary advantage. Communities matter and humans need educators. We grow up in this business with some amazing mentors. They help us achieve great things. Why is menopause not a part of those conversations? I could have used a heads up that menopause was coming and it was gonna get weird. But until recently, people didn't talk about menopause in the workplace. It's been considered taboo. We've had to power through our anxiety and insomnia alone, but companies are waking up to the fact that 20% of us are experiencing some form of menopause at any given time. That same Mayo Clinic found that in the US alone, productivity loss costs $1.8 billion annually. It's time to talk openly and create a more supportive environment. Support comes in many forms. It can be sharing your experiences. It can be lending a listening ear. It can be as simple as turning down the air conditioning. Please. Celebrities like Maria Shriver and Naomi Watts have begun opening up about their experiences. Naomi Watts just wrote a book. Oprah just hosted the Menopause Revolution TV special. So I feel like the stigma is beginning to lift. If you've had the good fortune to sit next to me on a plane, at a Euro Gala dinner, chances are pretty good I brought up the subject. It's how I ended up right here. I'm sure I made some people uncomfortable, but I also made new friends. And friends make us feel less alone. There are support groups. Benepac. So I urge you, talk openly with your friends, your family, and your colleagues so that together we can create a world that every woman feels seen and empowered.
Thank you, Beth. Now imagine living a life where you can focus on only the positive. Our next speaker has mastered this. He's here to talk about us on chasing the joyous moments of life. Please welcome the CEO of Maxley Consulting, Adam McWhirter.
Last year, I attended an event. Many of you were there. As the DJ spun the final song of the evening, I stepped back, this big smile on my face, and I watched this amazing scene unfold before me. Picture this, an entire bar, industry colleagues, all passionately embracing every lyric at 2 a.m. And that's when it hit me, my Ignite, chasing joy. I read a book recently, Daring Greatly, and it introduces this term, foreboding joy, as a shield against vulnerability. This mindset focuses on the negatives to buffer against the potential sting from missing out on the positives. And when I read this recently, it brought me back to a close friend of mine. When I would ask them, well, how was your day? It was often a never enough answer. The vulnerability shield was up. So with them, I initiated something I called chasing joy. I began to ask the question without the option for a negative response. I would ask this every night. in the past 24 hours, what was the exact moment that sparked joy? And I would ask this every single night to help train the muscle. But right now, I'd like to do a little bit of an exercise with you. Think about this event, the past 24, 48 hours. What was your joy moment? What was the moment that sparked joy? I'll give you 3 more seconds to think about it. Common responses, of course, seeing familiar faces, maybe sealing a new deal. Maybe you had a call from friends or family at home from your children in between all the meetings. But those are maybe the how are you today answers. For the joy moment, you need to delve deep. Joy. Such a simple, small word, but it exerts a tremendous influence on our mental well-being. And I would like to give you 2 examples of what I mean by the moment. So, first, well, what was your joy moment today? It was sunny. Yeah, but it was sunny all day. What was the exact moment? I was stressed at work, I went for a walk at lunch, and as soon as the sun hit my skin, that's a good moment. A few years ago, I had a very close cousin die in a car accident, and I went straight home to see my aunt and uncle. I live in China. I went straight home to see my aunt and uncle, and that hug, that embrace from my uncle during this horrible time was filled with joy. It still gives me shivers today. To find the moment of joy, to spot the moment of time of joy, it takes practice. But if you're chasing the moments, you're going to find the joy. So, I like being up on stage. I hate being out there. I like being up here. Up here brings me joy, but out there is where I chase joy. And trail racing, it can be grueling. 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, mud and sweat, tears and scars, and stories with every step. And it's the stories that I love after the race, the camaraderie. And of course, the question is always going to be, well, how was your race? How did you do? And for any real, amateur athlete, competitor, unless you're number 1, it's always going to be, well, not good enough. So I like to ask it my way. During your race, what was the moment of joy? Because it's during these fleeting moments, like the sun shining just perfectly through the trees, running up onto breathtaking landscape, hearing the finish line off in the distance for the first time, suddenly all the pain, it fades away, and you are just left with joy. Cultivating the ability to spot a moment of joy in time, it's a skill. It takes practice, but it is a muscle worth building. And when I ask friends and family, well, what was your joy moment? To be honest, I get kind of a funny look. Like, what do you mean joy moment? What are you talking about? But when you are chasing the moments in time, you will find the joy. And the friend that I started this Chasing Joy Moments journey with, we took a different path in life a few years back, but guess what? I know for a fact that she is still chasing joy every day. She's trained the muscle. So some homework for you. Before you get back to your big stack of business cards, before all of your recap emails, fun, before returning to life's non-Euro routine, take stock of your week. What moments of joy did Euro 2025 bring to you? Then, I want you to come find me tonight. I'll be out there with my colleagues, my Ignite friends. We'll be out there on the dance floor, likely embracing some random lyrics at 2 a.m. I would genuinely like to know what your joy moment was. When you're chasing the moments, when you train the muscle, you will drop the vulnerability shield and discover just how much joy there really is. So, I'll see you on the dance floor tonight. Thank you.
Life-changing moments can lead to new perspective and new insights. Our next speaker is sharing a very personal story. Please give the warmest welcome to the Global Account Manager for Impact Group, Lucy Foster.
Have you ever experienced a moment you knew would change you forever? I've had 3. The first, becoming a wife. The second, becoming a mother. The third was less expected. On a sleepy Saturday morning, my 6-year-old son came into our room asking for pancakes. Moments later, I felt the bed violently shaking and heard a strange, strangled sound. Instantly alert, I turned to see my husband Neil convulsing in a grand mal seizure. One moment, our family was living the Dubai expat dream of sand, sea, and sunshine. The next was an expat nightmare of doctors, drugs, and a deadly diagnosis. It's called GBM4, or the Terminator, the most deadly of brain cancers with just a 5% survival rate. Neil was given months to live. Have you ever felt powerless, terrified, like your whole world is collapsing? That's how Neil's diagnosis made me feel. So, how do you begin to get a sense of control when you have zero control? How do you begin to process something so big? Well, it starts with a friendly voice saying, "How can we help you? What do you need?" We were lucky, we were supported from the very beginning, from Neil's employer, our family and friends, the doctors. I know from our experience just how crucial it is to support families on international assignments. And there are 3 things from my experience I want to share. 1, the power of love and support. 2, the calm of control. And 3, the value of the services that we all provide. Neil's company took their duty of care seriously. We were supported in every decision, to stay, to go, fight or flight. Dubai was our home, so we stayed and we fought. Life was full of uncertainty, but staying gave us that sense of stability, of familiarity. School, homework, jobs, sports, activities. That routine was our sanctuary. It was our anchor through radiotherapy, chemo, scans, and operations. On hearing the diagnosis, I cried, and I said, "The kids' lives are ruined." And Neil's oncologist took my hands in his, and he said, "No, not ruined, but they will be shaped by this experience. And how they're shaped is down to you." I realized this was the one thing that I could control. How is this experience going to shape us? And I resolved in that moment I would not break, and we would get through this. Thanks to Dubai's cutting-edge medical care, Neil did get the all clear. And for a while, we had the calm of control and the serenity of the mundane once more. Until it came back, and we knew that it would. GBM4 grows outwards like a vine, which is what makes it so deadly. As Dubai's skyline lit up into colourful bursts of light to welcome in 2015, Neil confided it was taking hold. It was time to go home. We envisaged staying through to the summer and the end of the school year, but that proved too optimistic, and in March, his 2 brothers flew over from England to take him home. Shivering in the driveway watching them leave, I was terrified that I wouldn't see him again. But previously planned activities gave me that calm of control once more. Our daughter's 11th birthday party, a One Direction concert, packing up the house. And this is when I became acutely aware of the value of the services that you all provide. I had support at every turn, from document notarization to closing accounts. The to-do list was endless. I was stressed. I knew my husband was dying and I had to get home. That support was a lifeline to me. Departure day came, and with a scare at immigration, a problem with my visa meant that we nearly missed our flight. Thankfully, we made it. And just 4 days after the children and I arrived back in the UK, Neil passed away. He was just 47. Looking back, the love and care that we received, the control that we had, and the expertise of our industry helped shape a traumatic experience in a positive way. It could have been very different. Our industry facilitates life-changing moves. We move hopes, dreams, memories, treasures far too precious to value. Our duty of care is therefore more than a responsibility. It's a sacred trust. Your assignees and their families' lives will be shaped by their relocation experience, and how they're shaped is down to you. So how will you shape the lives entrusted to your care? Because in the end, that's what truly matters.
That is one tough act to follow. But our next speaker is, just like me, very challenge-driven. She doesn't only tackle challenges, she eats them for breakfast. At least, that's what she said to me recently. Please, welcome with me, IOR's own Christina Miller.
I've always loved the thrill of a challenge, an urgent deadline, teaching middle school ESL, or hiking Kilimanjaro. My adventures have evolved over the years, and I've learned a few lessons along the way. But so prior to moving back to the Chicago area, where I currently call home, I lived in Colorado and spent time hiking 14ers and backpacking in the beautiful but punishing wilderness of the Rocky Mountains. I lived the importance of preparation and flexibility. Pack more food than you think you need, dry socks, plan your route and alternatives. Leave at 4 a.m. for the best chance of a summit, and never, ever leave home without your rain gear. On long hikes, when your feet ache and your lungs burn, that often brief moment at the summit requires finding joy along the journey, like Adam was telling us. I've learned to pause in those moments, on those windy switchbacks, on those rocky trails, because the reality is most of our life is the in-between, not the summits. And so finding those moments of joy along the way is so critical. I like to pause and smell the wildflowers and the added pleasure of getting a full breath when you do so. There's seriously so many good wildflowers in the mountains. It's worth the thin air. Now, what does all this have to do with my village? Well, you gotta have somebody to train with, right? Those early morning runs, someone to trudge along on mile 18 with you, and, enjoy a good photo at the top. My hiking village are those who also like a challenge and will carry a bottle of wine in their bag and make sure to be down by happy hour at the lake. What does all this have to do with my life now? As it turns out, there aren't any mountains in Chicago. What? I know, should have checked that, right? So I had to find a new way to challenge myself. So during COVID, I fostered and adopted 2 pups. Meet Grace and Gloria. Dogs were hard to come by during lockdown. The preparation, virtual interview process, it was intense. But they're great teachers of small joys. The excitement that they can find from a stick or a lamppost, it's a good lesson. But, I said I like challenges, right? So I needed another one. So what I did was another foster licensing process, this time for humans. I decided it was something to help me kind of be a part of the positivity and support that I want to see more of in the world. So shortly after, my fairy stork mother arrived with 10-month-old and a 2-year-old. Please feel free to laugh when I tell you, I thought I was prepared. I had read endlessly on trauma-informed parenting, on foster care, sleep training. I had a bed, I had a crib, I had books. I was ready. But those of you who have children know that no amount of planning or reading can really prepare you for it all, much less when they arrive at your doorstep with only 3 hours notice. Lean into flexible plans, prospective parents. Toddler parent life quickly taught me that the joy of a mountaintop and the devastation of an epic tantrum or a valley can occur about 100 times a day and within the same minute. So lean into those moments, those snapshots, right, of laughter in the trudge of sickness, laundry, trying to have a professional work call, and, kid in the background. I've leaned into my supports, found other non-traditional families. I've wrapped a birth mom into ours, a bonus grandpa, and a stepsister, sorry. Now, I sat with mom and told her I was here for her as long as she needed me, and then cried with her when she told me things weren't improving and that she wanted me to keep her kids permanently, and asked if she could still be a part of their lives in some way, and I agreed. So, last May, the plans for our family changed from temporary foster care to adoption, and we finalized our adoptions just last month. Life and my current village and situation and challenge look nothing like what I've planned for, but I'm staying positive and leaning into the joy and, chasing my next adventure. My son wants us to trade one of the dogs for a baby. I was thinking maybe we'd take him to Patagonia, and do another hike. While I've traded tents for car seats in the last 5 years, I'm staying positive, leaning into my challenge, and keeping up with the joy. I'm excited for the next 5 years. Thank you.
Paraphrasing Brazilian author Paulo Coelho, when saying yes to others, make sure you also say yes to yourself. Our next presenter is the Chief Mobility Officer for GIR, and she really took this saying to her heart. Please give the warmest welcome to Rosanna Veglia.
What if I told you that the biggest threat to your happiness is a three-letter word? A word so small and yet so powerful that can shape your entire life. That word? Yes. Raise your hand if you ever said yes to something you didn't want to do. Have you ever believed that saying yes will bring you success, opportunity, and growth? What if saying no is the real power move? I used to say yes to everything. Being honest, it made me feel powerful, valued, needed. The world was limitless for me, until I realized I was just building a massive cage for myself. Yes gave me many likable titles: the good wife, the loving daughter, the accomplished professional. But have you ever been stuck with a title you never wanted to have? For me, those were divorced woman and a single mom. I was raised to believe in family unity, the perfect picture. So I kept saying yes to my marriage, even when it felt like assembling IKEA furniture without instruction, doomed to fail. So I started to wonder, does saying yes means that I'm making the right choices? Or does it mean that I'm avoiding the hard ones? When was the last time you say no to something that wasn't serving you? One day, I realized that in addition to saying yes to my marriage, I was saying yes to exhaustion, yes to self-sacrifice, and yes to a version of myself that my kids did not deserve. I struggled to wake up every morning and smile. And you see me, I like to smile a lot. Everything that I liked to do before, I didn't like to do it anymore. I was resenting everything and everyone in my life. So I had to make a really tough decision. I say no to my marriage, and I walked away. That first no felt terrifying. But once I said it, the floodgates opened. Toxic people? No. Lame jobs? No. Shoes designed for medieval torture? Oh, heck no. I even said no to my kids when they asked me for a pet snake and a fish. What am I, a zookeeper? I have to humans to keep alive. But seriously, here's what I learned. Saying no is not rejection. It's redirection. It opens space for the things that truly matter. Before that first no, I was terrified. I was questioning everything I was taught about family. And the moment I said it for the first time, I realized that I needed to rewrite the story. Do I teach my kids the story I was taught, or do I write the story I want them to know? Is family the biggest virtue? Do we need to hold on no matter the sacrifice? Because yes, love is worth fighting for. But what if that the fight comes at the cost of their boundaries, their voices, their very sense of self? So I had to rewrite the story. Walking away wasn't failure. It was power. It was survival. It was saying, you matter, even when the love tells you otherwise. Saying no to the wrong things allowed me to open space for the right ones. And it made me rebuild my family into one that I truly, truly love. Redefining family, that was my battle. But what battle are you fighting? How many yeses have sucked the life out of you, little by little? And what if you gave permission to say no more often? It's not easy, but you can start small. Meetings that could have been emails? No. Pants too tight that reminded you had too many carbs for lunch? No. Not to apologizing for setting a boundary, for reclaiming your space. Look at this room, full of amazing people worth every yes. Every no that we say to the wrong things opens space for the right yeses. It's not about shutting others out. It's about doing what lights you up inside. So right now, think of one thing that you could say yes to out of guilt. Go on and say no to it. Feel that? That's your power coming back. Find your no, own it, and watch your life make room for the right yeses. This isn't about you or me. This is about the people that looks up to us as an example. I want you to think about one thing that you can say no to today, or this week, or next month. Do it. And watch your world light up like fireworks on New Year's Eve. Life's too short to say not politely while dying up inside. So go ahead and live boldly.
Do you have a superpower? Or do you wish you had a superpower? Our final Intrepid Ignite speaker is going to help us tap into our hidden strengths. She's the head of Orbi Relo in the UK, and she's here to present Harnessing Your Superpower. Please give a warm welcome for Jo Webb.
Stupid, lazy, academically challenged. These were all things that I was called growing up by my peers, teachers, and quite frankly, some people who should have known better. She lacks attention to detail. Gosh, she's bullish. Geez, does she ever give it a rest? Feedback I've heard throughout my career. As you can imagine, I've grown a pretty thick skin. But why? I have dyslexia, a neurodiversity that simply means my brain is wired differently. A common misconception about dyslexia is that it's just about struggling to read and write, but that couldn't be more wrong. Dyslexia is about thinking differently. Some dyslexic minds are wired for patterns, some for logic, some, like mine, for big picture thinking and problem solving. Dyslexic thinkers see patterns others don't. We connect dots in ways that can lead to so much more. And I'm not alone. 1 in 5 people have dyslexia. That means up to 130 people in this room could be dyslexic. It affects men and women equally, and we can read and write. We just sometimes struggle with spelling. Ironically, words like dyslexia. But we all have something that makes us different. The key is understanding it, learning from it, and harnessing it, because that is where our greatest strengths lie. For years, I was told my brain worked wrong, but now I know it works exactly as it should. Growing up, I heard harsh things, but I was one of the lucky ones. I was raised by a fantastic, supportive family, and they only saw my strengths. In the early years of my education, at school, every morning, there was a spelling test. This was 10 random words you were given the night before, and it was scored. I hated those tests. That feeling in the pit of my stomach, just absolutely crippling me. Average score, 4 out of 10. But hold your head up high and try your best, is what my mum told me every day. She never scolded me for those low scores. She saw how hard I'd worked the night before. She also knew that I excelled in other things. I was a whiz at puzzles, a master problem solver, and I could build anything out of Legos. I could read people, I could resolve conflicts, mainly between my siblings, and I could adapt to situations well beyond my years. But I also excelled at sports. This meant sport became a place where my different way of thinking was a strength and an advantage. On the pitch, I wasn't lazy or stupid or academically challenged. I was strategic, quick thinking, and adaptable, and I thrived. But school was just the first hurdle. The working world came next, and my dyslexia showed up in new ways. That crippling feeling was back. She lacks attention to detail, all because of a simple spelling error on a CV or an email. But every superhero needs a sidekick. Mine, technology. I used to use so many different programs for spelling and grammar checks. Now I use one, ChatGPT. People find me bullish. I hate to work within systems. I always look to reshape them. I challenge the status quo. I ask different questions. I reimagine the possibilities. And in the working world, sometimes that can get under people's skin. But take Richard Branson. He still can't read and write. Yet his different way of thinking made him become one of the most successful entrepreneurs we've ever seen. He challenges traditional thinking. His dyslexic thinking gave him a different way to win. Some people find me relentless. I don't see myself that way. Where others see obstacles, I see opportunities. I open myself to the world and I never take "that is impossible" as an answer. Did you know Erin Brockovich is also dyslexic? Her different way of thinking uncovered one of the biggest environmental scandals in history. She didn't just accept information she was given, she challenged it. She made connections that others miss. But engineering, storytelling, innovation, dyslexic minds have shaped this world in a way that most don't even realize. And like these people, once I stopped fighting my dyslexia and started using it, my whole world transformed. Being neurodiverse means facing challenges every single day. But those challenges don't hold us back. They build resilience. We don't avoid difficult situations, we rise to meet them. I used to hide my dyslexia, the embarrassment crippling me. Now, it fuels me. I am proud to be a dyslexic thinker. The world needs different minds, and we all have them, and that is our superpower. So the question isn't whether you have one, it's how are you harnessing yours?
Thanks so much, Joe. When preparing this conference with the rest of the Eura team and board, we really wanted to tie the conference theme of well-being into the Ignite session. I hope we did as good as a job as all our Intrepid Igniters, as well as our past president, Michelle, for this eventful session. And before I call them to the stage for one last photo, I have to put some work on you guys. Are you ready to take the Ignite for 2026? Are there any ideas coming out of this session? I hope so, because I want to see you there on the stage in... Oh, sorry, mic got cut off, apparently. So please give the warmest thanks to all the Igniters and bring them back to stage. Come on, guys, let's take a photo.